All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The writing was on the wall that this was going to be the final year for starting pitcher Clayton Kershaw in Major League Baseball. And the cat was officially let out of the bag yesterday as it was announced by the Los Angeles Dodgers that it would indeed be it for number 22. Now, Kershaw's final regular season home start is going to come tonight. And who better of an opponent for that to happen against than the rival San Francisco Giants? You think about Kershaw, and hands down, one of the better starting pitchers in baseball of this era, one of the better pitchers to ever wear Dodger blue for that matter. Kershaw is the only pitcher, okay, in the storied history of the Dodgers to strike out 3,000 batters. And only Don Sutton has won more games in a Dodger uniform than Kershaw. The timing was right. And honestly, I thought he might have stepped back, retired after last season. But when he made the decision to come back this year, I thought, like, you know what? He wanted to get to that 3,000 strikeout mark, which he did. And he did it in great fashion as he did it at home at Dodger Stadium against the Chicago White Sox. And, unless something happens with Chris Sale, unless he's able to get there, Clayton Kershaw might be the last starting pitcher in baseball to get to 3,000 strikeouts for a long time. Okay, but nonetheless, you look at the overall body of work for Kershaw. We're talking about a three-time Cy Young Award winner. He was also the National League's MVP back in 2014 when he went 21 and 3 that year while posting an ERA of 1.77. And that year he struck out 239 batters. And speaking of the strikeouts, along with the great Sandy Koufax, Kershaw is the only pitcher in Dodgers franchise history to record at least 300 strikeouts in a season. And of course, the great Sandy Koufax did it three times. Now, Kershaw was a true ace on the mound for the Dodgers, and he was a pitcher's pitcher. You knew that when Kershaw was in his prime, okay, he was going to give the Dodgers a legit chance to go out there and win each and every fifth day. You're talking about a guy career record wise, 222 wins, just 96 losses, a 2.54 ERA, along with 3,039 strikeouts. Kershaw has never, okay, had a season at the big league level where he finished with a losing record. And speaking of Kershaw's season this year, albeit he came back middle of the year, but Kershaw in 20 starts so far for the Dodgers, 10 and 2, with an ERA of 3.53. So he's still getting it done at this age, and I think it's the best time for him to do it because he's walking out not completely on top of his game, but still very respectable at the age of 37. And clearly, there's no doubt in my mind that Kershaw is going to be our first ballot Hall of Fame inductee into Cooperstown. I thought that he was going to have some company this year because I thought that this was going to be it for Justin Verlander as well, but Justin Verlander has already announced he's coming back for 2026. I don't know if it's going to be with the San Francisco Giants or somebody else, but that future Hall of Famer still looks like he's having a lot of fun. But nonetheless, this is Clayton Kershaw's moment right now. You look at it and you ask yourself, what is Kershaw's legacy? For me, I look at it, you know what? Not only one of the most dominant lefties of this era, one of the most dominant pitchers. And of course, that curveball, the changeup, the way that he knew how to mix things, especially when he was in his prime, he made some of the greatest hitters around baseball at that time look extremely foolish. Okay. I think about this guy, again, like I said before, one of the greatest Dodgers to ever wear that uniform. And on top of that, I think it's special that in this day and age of free agency trades, you name it, Kershaw has only worn the Dodgers uniform. And, he had a couple of opportunities to leave in free agency, but he didn't. He was comfortable there. He's a Dodger. He's always going to be a Dodger. And, it's also nice and interesting because you got to wonder what his role is going to be for Los Angeles next month in the postseason as they look to run it back as World Series champions. Um, it's going to be interesting to see whether Dave Roberts uses him out of the bullpen or he uses him in the rotation. Um, me personally, I think he might be leaning towards using him out of the bullpen. I mean, Kershaw's not a guy who's going to go deep into games like he did, of course, in his prime. We're talking about a guy right now that this season who's only completed 7 innings of a game one time, and that was all the way back in June. So maybe they use him out of the bullpen. We've got to wait and see. Also, you got to wonder if Kershaw, whether or not he's going to have that opportunity to get that Hollywood ending to finish his career. And that's why I thought he might step away last year, due to the fact that he got his second World Series championship. But that wasn't the case. Like I said before, I think he truly wanted to come back for 3,000 strikeouts. And he's earned that right, honestly, with what he has done for the game of baseball and what he has meant, of course, to the Dodgers. But as far as getting that Hollywood ending this year, I'm not sure because the Dodgers, are not as dominant as they were last year. And on top of that, I think more than ever, this year's MLB playoffs are truly going to be a crapshoot. Now, touch on that, the closer that we get to the start of the playoffs. But nonetheless, this is it for Clayton Kershaw. And he has nothing to be ashamed of. He has nothing to look back on and doubt. Phenomenal career, phenomenal player. And maybe, you know what, this could be a rallying cry potentially for the Dodgers as they go into the postseason. Win another one for Clayton. We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, nobody's ever going to wear number 22 again for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, that big Texan went out there and just dominated with good old fashioned, baseball mechanics. Okay, and there's no there's no other way to say it. One of the better pitchers of his era, one of the better pitchers, of all time in Major League Baseball. And I think that's the way that Clayton Kershaw should be remembered. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, I want to take this time out. Thank everybody for tuning in. And if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you could check us out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to give you that follow right back in return. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And just like it is for Instagram, for the X, you can check us out on Instagram at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I said, you give me that follow, I'll give you that follow right back in return. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.